now?
I think so.
Yeah, we're live. 3 people watching.
we're so punctual today, you guys, that we're too punctual.
For our own
We're too punctual
team.
for our own good.
All right.
We're doing it. We're getting there. I think there's a Colby Martin in the house somewhere.
Okay. Yes.
Colby?
I hear him.
Had to get my mic
Colby.
I
going.
heir him.
Oh,
Is he?
there he is.
Oh, it's Colby.
Okay, so pretend that none of that happened because this was supposed to be an immediate cold
Or
open welcome. Good morning.
Cherish the moment. Relish it.
Hi, good morning, everyone. Pastor Colby here, Sojourn Grace Collective. And today is the first Sunday after Easter. And I've been thinking about that all week and thinking of how the gospel stories of the life and the legend of Jesus, of his life and his death and his resurrection, other than Mark, the earliest manuscript of Mark, they don't end with the resurrection. There's a few more stories that happen after that. And one of the things that intrigues me about some of these stories is how there's a mixture of belief and unbelief. That even when there was, and as they argued, there was a bodily resurrection, there was a Jesus no longer dead and a tomb empty, there was a mixture of belief and unbelief. Almost as though from the very beginning there's these breadcrumbs that can echo throughout the rest of time to suggest that it's not about belief. Whether you believe, disbelieve, move back and forth, unsure where you fall, that your place in this community, your place in this family is not dependent upon your belief. And so with that, I say happy Sunday. We're glad you're here, and I'm going to hand it over to our wonderful musicians. If you don't yet have the lyrics for today, you can always go to sojourngrace.com/virtual to get the lyrics for all of our songs. Welcome. We're glad you're here.
So Yes.
Our house audience is really enthusiastic this morning.
Hope it's a good day for y'all. Steady as you go, rise upon the shoreline. I know that you fight the tide, 'cause I can see your winds are changing. Steady as you go, wait upon the morning light. Don't you dare close your eyes, 'cause I can see a white sail coming. I know that you are dying to be found, so let me be your lighthouse. Don't let the waves pull you now away from me. I'm asking you to just believe. Trust me, there's a silver lining. Can you hear the land and the rhythm of its whispering? Maybe hope is all you need. Maybe it's in this heart that's beating, beating. I know that you are dying to be found, so let me be your lighthouse. I won't let you be. 'Cause I won't let you be lost at sea. Know that you are dying to be found, so let me be your lighthouse. I know that you are dying to be found, so let me be your lighthouse.
Good morning. Awesome.
Good morning.
Fables, can you say good morning to shut your microphone?
Good morning.
Awesome. So Fable and I are going to start our time this morning, our Sojo Kid moment, leading us in a short meditation. Now I want to remind you that meditation can be calm and quiet and cozy if you'd like. So if that's your mood today, go for it. Or meditation can be big and tall and loud and stretchy and wild and wiggly. Because help us in whatever mood we're in to just be with what is. That's what meditation is about. It's about being with what is and reminding us what's true. So we're going to do a little reminder of what's true meditation right now. And so Fable's going to help lead. And can you see this enough, babies? We can just use one. Okay, perfect. So you start, remember? And make sure you put the microphone right up to this beautiful.
Breathing in, I see myself as a flower.
Breathing out, I feel fresh.
Breathing in, I see myself as a mountain.
Breathing out, I feel solid.
Breathing in, I see myself as still water.
Breathing out, I reflect things as they are.
Breathing in, I see myself as space.
Breathing out, I feel free. Thank you for meditating with us today. I love using nature as a meditation. This coming week on Wednesday is Earth Day. We're going to celebrate Earth Day. And what a beautiful time to be reminding ourselves that the earth is our home and our power and our strength and our everything. So we need to take care of her. Now, I want to remind you this week as you go into celebrating Earth Day, and guess what? It's the 50th anniversary of Earth Day this week. That's pretty cool. And I want to remind you of one of the names that we give Earth. Sometimes we refer to her as Mother Earth. Yep, you got it, Fable. Mother. We call Earth Mother. And we do this because mothering isn't just about the moms who live in our houses and take care of us or give birth to babies or adopt babies. Mothering is something that we all can do. And we talk about that a lot here at Sojourn. That mothering is something that everyone can do. And when we look to nature, when we look to Earth, we're reminded of that, of the mothering that we can all do. Mothering is simply about taking care of life, protecting the young and the vulnerable, birthing new life,
And protecting animals.
So put your mic up to your mouth because you had a good thought.
And protecting animals.
Protecting animals, absolutely. That's what mothering is about. So I want to tell you this morning a little bit about, and I'll tell you more this week about her, about a mother in our world that I look to as a reminder that we can all be mothers. It's not just about taking care of kids. And the mothering that we can do of our whole world. So this is a woman that I admire. Her name is Wangari Maathai. And Wangari lived her life studying nature. She learned everything there was to learn about nature. She just immersed herself in nature, in Mother Earth, and studied and studied. And then she gained a reputation. She became known for having great wisdom about life. Isn't that so interesting? She studied nature and then became known for her wisdom about life. That sounds familiar. We've been talking about that a lot, haven't we? That we can remind ourselves of what we know by looking to nature. When we study nature, we become wise about life. And that was what Wangari did. Wangari was also known as Mother Miti, so they actually called her mother. Wangari believed that all problems in life had the same solution. Trees, planting trees. And so when all these people would come to her with their problems about life, because as I said, she was known for her wisdom, they would come to her with all their problems. We don't have enough food to eat. Something is destroying our plant life, and we are struggling. We don't have space. They would come to her with all of these different problems. Or we're fighting in our villages. Our two villages are fighting. And every problem, no matter what it was, she would say, let's go plant trees. And she would know exactly which kind of tree to plant for which kind of problem. And that is exactly what she would do. And she just became known for planting trees to solve problems. And this wasn't some sort of frou-frou out there thought of, oh, let's just plant trees to make ourselves feel good. No, there were very specific reasons for each tree that took care of each problem. She was saving the world one tree at a time. And she did this so much that she ended up starting what is known as the Green Belt movement, which has now planted over 30 million trees. Because trees can provide firewood, water, shade, nutrients for soil, seeds, food, shelter, protection, and so many other things. And when Gari knew this, she knew that every problem we had in life, we needed to look to the trees. So she mothered our whole world, one tree at a time. And when Gari left you a message, she has a message for you. She's not here on earth anymore, but she has changed our earth forever. She has mothered us well, and I know that we will mother the world well too, and we will do so even better if we get her message. So Fable's gonna read Wangari's message, Mama Miti's message to the whole world.
Young people, you are our hope and our future. Go plant a tree. Know that an idea as small as a seed has the possibility to grow into the tallest of trees. Work together.
Love you guys. We'll talk to you soon.
God bless our friends, God bless our enemies, all of our children, and all of our families. We've got no idea what we're doing. We tried to find you throughout the centuries, different religions and different countries. We've got no idea what we're doing. We'll never make it on our own. We can always see the light inside of us. We'll never make it on our own. God bless the poor, God bless the broken-hearted, God bless the widow, God bless the long departed. So we've got no idea what we're doing. God bless the Christian, God bless the atheist, God bless the Muslim, God bless the rest of us. We've got no idea what we're doing. We'll never make it on our own. We can always see the light inside of us. We'll never make it on our own. Keep us all close, every one of us close. Don't let anyone go. So keep us all close, every one of us close. Don't let anyone go. We'll never make it on our own. We can always see the light inside of us. We'll never make it on our own. We can always see the light inside of us. We'll never make it on our own. Let all our friends in, let all our enemies, all of our children, and all of our families. 'Cause we've got no idea what we're doing. We tried to find you throughout the centuries, different religions in different countries. We've got no idea what we're doing. We've got no idea what we're doing. So keep us all close, every one of us close.
heard this next song was at Sojourn, actually, several years ago now. And it was written by Nicole Nordman about her own religious deconstruction, which I always think is especially fascinating to watch someone go through when they are a leader in the public eye in their faith, and all of the weight that comes with questioning your sure belief. And so she wrote this beautiful song to the girl that she used to be. And I think as we begin talking about faith and deconstruction, this letter has everything in it for me about the process. So.
Dear me, this is a letter to the girl I used to be. Dear me, there are some things that you should know. It's not my intention to embarrass or to shame you. What's inside the rearview mirror is closer than it appears. We do the best that we know how with what we have been given, and the difference between you and me is I've been given time. In time, you'll see. Dear me, this is a letter to the girl I used to be. Some things are
So,
That was a little Karen.
Because I like making myself cry for no reason.
yeah. You like making me cry before I have to come.
It's great, all the crying.
Talk. Hi. Morning.
Hi again.
We're so freaking lucky to have those humans doing this.
Yeah.
Doing these songs, this music.
Have
these
we
music.
these musics?
Yes.
I don't know if we've recently explained, but for those who are relatively or haven't heard this yet, we have sort of backed into quarantining with this household. Those three people, they all live together in the same household, and we've sort of been socially isolated with them from the beginning.
So that we can do this.
So that we can do this. We made sure households were well and healthy, and then we've just kept our circle closed. And anyway.
Cool.
I felt socially
I was like in
responsible.
this moment of how much that song is so perfect for this sermon, and I'm just like feeling it in the emotions, and you're like, really quick.
I totally killed that buzz, didn't I?
It's all good. I kill your buzz often, so I feel like that was like not even
that's
close
true.
to making it even.
Look at that.
Okay, hi, good morning. So glad to be with you. Today, we are actually introducing a new series at Sojourn. And it's one we've been talking about doing for a really long time now. And we actually can't think of a more appropriate time to begin this journey together than in a time of great collective crisis. The series is called Considering Faith, Finding Our Way Together. And it's going to be a time of deconstructing old ideas of what it means to have or to practice faith, as well as reconstructing new ideas that might better guide us on our journey toward wholeness. Sojourn Grace Collective calls itself a progressive Christian church, and there's a lot that we do together that feels familiar. Our service structure, the music, the sermons, the communion, and yet, we are obviously doing something radically different, a new movement of spirituality practiced in community. And this place between tradition that is familiar and a movement that's radical, this collision of old and new, it can be a bit ambiguous in a way that can at times feel disorienting. Sojourn is unique in ways that are very intentional. It's on purpose, but often leave folks wondering, wait, so is this church? What is this church? Is it church at all? And while the mystery of that is actually an important value of ours, one we're not ever letting go of, we don't want folks to experience confusion in a way that leaves them feeling lost or excluded, which can sometimes happen when things are ambiguous. And so over the last 6 years, we've done so much work to name these places where new and old collide and to give new definitions to old terms. Like when Colby taught a series on hamartia, the term in the Bible translated to sin. And suddenly, our little revolution had shared language for this thing that used to shame us, and a whole new way to orient ourselves around it that was both liberating and grounding. We've sought to give new purpose to old practices, like serving communion every Sunday and each and every time, reminding each other that this is not how we gain right standing with God, but it's how we remember that we are already beloved and held and always have been. Piece by piece, together, we've deconstructed and reconstructed so much, and the pieces are beautiful. Doing this deconstructing and reconstructing work together is what led us to the creation of our mission statement of spiritual, social, and emotional wholeness. We did not have this language for this when we began gathering in our living room 6 years ago. We've built the plane while flying it. And now, 6 years in, we have this recurring experience that it's both an experience that we have in community with you, engaging with you, and hearing your stories and your feedback about what we're doing here. And it's just this experience that we have internally within ourselves. And it's kind of an inexplicable experience, but I'll try to describe it. It's basically this nagging question of what is faith actually? Oftentimes, this inexplicable nagging experience, it sounds like, why do we still do church? Or I feel like I've lost my faith, but I keep showing up here and I don't even know why. Or if I don't believe in God, then why would I engage in any sort of spirituality or spiritual community? Or it looks like atheists coming to church every Sunday and pastors who are called heretics and who teach unbelief. It looks like people who still really love Jesus and people who can't stand to open up a Bible and people who are indifferent to the whole thing and people who pray fervently every day, all coming together to sing songs about true colors and crowded tables and amazing grace. Basically, we've done all this work to deconstruct and reconstruct old pieces of our faith, and now we kind of step back and look at the thing we've built and we wonder, what is it? And how do we talk about it together? So we want to spend the next 6 weeks or so, I don't know, can't box us in, we'll decide when it feels right, talking about faith. What is it? And what isn't it? And how do we practice it and hold it together in diverse community? Before we really dig into that work, though, today we just want to kind of share our vision with you in terms of what our hope for this series is.
Such a great start to this, Kate. And watching some of you on the stream here, for whom already this is landing with you. This, can we just talk about the thing that sometimes is just in the room and yet we don't know how to name it? This tension, like Kate said, between doing the old familiar traditional and yet in this radical different way. Like, what do we do with that? So so to Kate's point now, we want to share a few of our, we talk about, you called them our hopes. These are sort of our hopes for the series, our big picture values that if we can tap into these few things over the next several weeks together, then I think we can really unearth some precious jazz. See, that is a word I would use. Sorry, that was an allusion to an earlier callback to earlier comments. Some precious gems in the midst of all this. So one of our hopes for this is that we hope that throughout this series that we elevate a sense of like theological diversity within our community. Because it is there, it is here, like there is incredible diversity, and we want to elevate that and illuminate that and celebrate that as a beautiful, beautiful thing. So for years, if you've been around Sojourn, we have talked about some of the differences between the concept of belonging and fitting in. Belonging and fitting in. So belonging implies that you are welcome and accepted and embraced just as you are, fully, completely as you are. Like you don't have to change a thing. That is what it means in part to belong. Contrast with fitting in. Fitting in is you have to edit this piece of you that doesn't quite work. You have to add on this piece that you don't have. You have to change. You have to adapt in order to fit in. And we have tried for years at Sojourn to talk about and emphasize that we value belonging. You don't have to fit in here. You don't have to edit your beliefs. You don't have to add beliefs. You don't have to take beliefs away. You belong simply because you have breath in your lungs. You have blood flowing through your veins. Don't worry about it. It does something. If you're bloody in any way, you belong. You belong in the large family of God simply because you're alive, and in particular, you belong at the level of Sojourn Grace Collective because you are a human, and that's good, and you are a loved child of God as you are. So you belong here. You belong here. And yet, try as we may to talk about this and live this way, it's still easier said than done. It's still easier said. It's about belonging, not fitting in. It's still easier said than done because we think, we are pre-wired. Notice I didn't say hardwired because I think this is a thing we can change about ourselves. We are pre-wired to this phenomenon of fitting in. Our culture is constantly preaching the message of fitting in. Our families, our schools are constantly preaching the message of fitting in. The voices inside our head are constantly calling us to fit in. I was thinking about that this morning and how I was thinking about this fitting in school, and I had this flashback to freshman year of high school. And for reasons I still can't to this day explain, my friend group, my social group, suddenly decided that it was cool to like WWF, fake wrestling.
I did.
Okay, so.
Or I pretended to. Cool, anyway.
Well, that's what my point was.
Maybe
I'm
I
like,
just
oh
made
man,
it
all my friends are like Stone Cold Steve Austin, like the weird WWF things, and I'm like, this is, you guys, this is.
Rocky Maivia.
This, I don't even know who that is. I knew one person, Stone Cold Steve Austin. I'm like, guys, this is really stupid. And yet, eventually, I'm like, okay, I guess I'll like fake wrestling too, because I wanted to fit in. I never wanted to like fake wrestling, but this is the way that our world conditions us to fit in. And so even when you show up at a place like Sojourn, which says, no, you don't have to fit in, you just belong, it's really hard to undo that way of approaching social situations. So we want to talk about that and elevate diversity because diversity of belief, because we've been saying, in Sojourn, there's people who believe these things and people who believe these things. And it's hard sometimes to really let you know that no matter where you fall on this belief spectrum, that you belong here. That you really, really do. And it's totally natural to be like, I hear you saying that, but I feel like because I think this about the Bible, or I think this about God, or I don't think about Jesus, that I don't fit in. It's not about fitting in. So we're going to continue to harp on that and hope to elevate diversity so that you know, no matter what you believe or if you don't believe, it's okay. You belong. You belong.
Faith diversity. I love it. We also hope to embrace the tensions, which means that we don't hope to fix the problem of doubt, mystery, unknowns, questions, disagreements, and contradictions, because we do not see these things as problems and therefore would never seek to fix them. We hope rather to invite more questions, to make more space for doubt, to elevate mystery, to sit still in the unknown, and to disagree with one another well, in loving ways that live out our mission of social wholeness.
Oh, it's back to me.
It's back to you.
Someone was telling me that it's not fake wrestling, and I just had to roll my eyes at that. Okay. Yes, also, speaking of things we don't hope to teach a new set of beliefs. Like, this is not the point of this series. We're not going to be like, okay, now here's the things that we invite you or ask you as a church to agree on. No, that's not the point of us, point of this series. For so many of us, and this isn't maybe true for all of us, but for so many of us, the idea of faith was that it was built upon this foundation of assuming that correct beliefs were what mattered most. And then once you had the correct beliefs, you locked that down and you believed it with certainty. But for us, this entire foundation of getting the right answers and having certainty, this entire foundation needs disassembled. It needs taken down. It needs doing away with. The point is to not just then figure out the right beliefs that are really, really, really worth believing now, because we're still then building on the same foundation. We're still just saying, okay, the point is to get the right beliefs, and so now, we're just going to tell you the new and better ones? No, that's not really the point. The point is to create a new foundation. And so hopefully in this series, we're going to offer some new ways to kind of develop this foundation, like appreciating how we are constantly changing, we're constantly evolving, we're constantly growing. And what if the foundation was an awareness and appreciation for the fact that you're not ever just going to lock down a belief and stick with that for the rest of your life, but you will be growing and changing and being curious and asking questions.
I love it. Oh, the challenge of this new way of doing things, giving a sermon while you're like reading comments and watching comments fly on your screen in front of you.
Yeah.
So distracted city over here. Also, speaking of building new foundations, we hope that faith in a time of crisis can ground us and guide us. We are hardwired to search for meaning in the world and to make meaning out of our lives. It is just what we do. We tell ourselves stories about everything. We're storytellers. So when life is extra, like it is right now, when the world appears to be crumbling at our feet, when the ground itself is disappearing, we're never more prone to ask desperate questions about what it means. We go so fast into existential crisis. Our brains, hardwired to tell meaningful stories, are responding to this trauma that we're all experiencing with rapid-fire storytelling. No matter what, we tell ourselves stories. It's what we do. We don't have a choice in that matter, but we do have a say in what kind of story we tell. Coming together to talk about faith, in large part, is in large part deciding for ourselves what kind of story we're going to weave during this time. To do a series on faith in the middle of global crisis means that we'll be intentional and communal with our big existential questions. We're all asking, what even is life? I can't tell you how many times a week I text a friend and say, what is life right now? That is just that's my question. What is life? I don't know. If we ask these questions about life intentionally and together, we're more likely to avoid despair and suffering in our minds. Full transparency, I'm really speaking to myself and talking about my personal experience right now. This crisis has brought up for me a lot of triggers of my past faith structures and belief systems, because I'm watching my old faith tradition run to their faith in this time as a way to storytell. Like, faith used to mean that whatever happened, I already knew the story to fall back on, the story to tell about it. Faith means answers for every problem. Faith was something to run to and stand on in times of struggle and sorrow. In old definitions of faith, where it's a system of beliefs that are unchanging and an overarching narrative that makes sense of everything, we always had somewhere to run and something to stand on. We had guidance and grounding. And now I look at the ways that my old faith tradition are storytelling during this time of crisis, and I don't find it very grounding at all, and certainly not giving the kind of guidance that we need right now. And yet, I personally need grounding and guidance right now. So I think it's about the kind of storytelling we do, that we are natural storytellers and search for meaning in everything. That's a beautiful survival tactic. And I hope that during this time, we can come together and look to our faith to get us through for guidance and grounding. I still think that that is a good thing if we tell a good story.
I love that. Another hope that we have for this series is that we hope to create together, as Kate will mention in a minute, we hope to create a way of thinking about faith that is more expansive and inclusive. So this last week I was doing a podcast interview with a show, some progressive interfaith alliance show. The host was Dr. Welton Gaddy, and his radio show is called State of Belief. And at one point in the interview, he asked me, he said, what do you say to those who maybe find themselves in a more conservative faith world or paradigm, kind of the one that Kate even just described? What do you say to those when they might critique those of us on the more progressive side and saying, when you eliminate the importance of beliefs and doctrine and you just sort of say it's just about love, aren't you afraid that reduces it down to just this sort of lowest common denominator? It's just, now it's just all about love. And that phrase, when he said, what do you say to people when they accuse you of just reducing it down to just love? An image came to mind of a set of binoculars. And you know how, with binoculars, if you look through, and I used to love doing this as a kid, look through the really big lens side, then everything, seems real far away and tiny and small and restrictive. But then if you just take the same set of binoculars and turn it around and look through the small lens, then everything suddenly seems big and open and expansive. And I thought, I think sometimes it's a little bit like that, where, one way to look at the faith in this way is to be like, that just reduces it down and kind of strips everything interesting away. But I think it's really just a choice. It's a choice to look at it that way, is my point. And you can choose to just turn those binoculars around. Be like, or another way to look at it is how fascinating that when you look at all of the most enlightened teachers throughout history in different cultures, different countries, different times, they all seem to be stumbling upon the same sorts of ideas of what it means to be human, the same sorts of ways to experience flourishing, the same sorts of underlying, you talked about meaning, like, isn't it amazing that there's these notes that get struck and over and over and over again? And for me, that opens it up and makes it more expansive. How beautiful is it that you can appeal to things like love and compassion and grace and kindness as these universal truths that have sort of always brought people to more flourishing wholeness. So yeah, so we hope to look at faith in a way that makes it more expansive and inclusive and isn't just this sort of reductive, restrictive way.
And lastly, we hope that this is a collective considering. The series is called Considering Faith, and we hope that you consider it with us. And we don't just say that, like, come join us and listen to us. We actually want you to participate in this series. And so we'll be posting in the sanctuary and on our website and reaching out to you personally, some of you, because we know you got good stuff. And we're going to be giving prompts and questions and hoping that you engage with us. One thing is that we hope that anything that we teach on, by the way, whenever we teach, we're just sharing what we are learning in hopes that maybe some sort of our particular will reach a universal. And we're just hoping that anything we teach during this series is actually guided by what you want to explore. What are you wanting to consider around faith right now? So any of your questions, not a sort of like question answer, like ask us and we'll tell you how it is, but like, what are you wanting to consider? Throw a question out to us so that we can ponder that and then ponder it together publicly and all be doing that work together. We also want to hear your stories, your faith stories. We want to highlight some of your stories. And so we'll reach out for those too. And hopefully this can be something that we all participate in together. We do not want this to be the Kate and Colby show. Oh, we actually have a show called the Kate and Colby show, so that's weird. Benjamin. Oh yes, Benjamin brought up a good point. The Sanctuary is our private Facebook group for Sojourn, and so it's private so no one can see it but you can search for it in your search engine on Facebook, Sojourn Sanctuary. If you type that in, it'll bring it up and you can ask to be added.
We also have a domain, sojournsanctuary.com, that routes you there instantly.
Perfect. So either way, that is where we spill our guts to each other, ask for our needs to be met, and communicate around things like this. So we'll be posting in there prompts for this series. We really want you to be involved in this and participate with us in this. Do you have anything to say about that part of it?
Oh, that part of it. I like how you really kept
I
it
did,
confined.
because you asked Colby if he has anything to say, and he'll be like, yes, whole new sermon!
Nope. I don't have anything to add to that one point.
Oh my God. Did you see that people like your hair today?
Oh, thank you, by the way. Thank you. And
favorite.
embracing the natural waves.
I love it. Okay, that's our new series, and we really want you to be involved, so please participate with us, and we love you, and we're so happy that you trust this space, because we know that the majority, if not all, of the folks who show up to do Sojourn with us are showing up having been through some stuff coming to church, and are like, not wanting anything to do with it, and yet you show up here. And it means a lot to us that you trust this space, and we do not take it lightly. Your safety with us is everything to us, and we just really take that seriously and work hard to be safe for you. And so I just want you to know that we honor your stories, where you've been, and are really grateful that you show up here and do this with us. Karen has a question too.
They really want you to know that they like your hair too.
Thank you, but that also is a compliment to Colby because he does my hair. That's all him. Thank you for doing my hair.
You're welcome.
All right, love you guys.
Okay, we're going to bring the band back up for our
Yep.
closing song. And if you missed this song, this is what they started last week, our Easter service with. They wrote this song, or I should say Karen wrote this song, and it's called Quarantine Hymn. Yep, it's called Quarantine Hymn. It's gorgeous. It's a gift for you.
I wrote the words to this song, but these two on either side of me.
Oh, now
the
you can
ability
talk.
to speak to the people. I was saying that I wrote the words to this song, but these two on either side stayed up late writing all the music and making it sing.
This is a hymn for all our best laid plans. This is our requiem to longing. We stand in memory of what might have been. We stand apart in our belonging. This is our dirge for all the future's lost. We mourn the comfort of security. We stand ahead of the unmeasured cost. We stand as one in our priorities. May you be well. May you be held. This is a tribute to the lost and waiting, to the tired and the weeping, to the crowded, the isolated, to the stressed and barely sleeping. This is an anthem for all the heavy-hearted, an invasion for the lonely, an echo sounding from our front porch foxholes for everyone and for you only. May you be well. May you be held. May you be well. May you be held. This is an ode to every strength and connection, a love song to our empty spaces, the way that hope abides in shadow form on silent streets and covered faces. This is a prayer for our collective recovery. This is our cry for resurrection. We appeal to nature's history and love's wild interjection. May you be well. May you be held. May you be well. Be well.
May you this week be well. And to the extent that you can and in the ways that you are able, may you be held. We hope you are was going to say as excited as we are. I don't know if that's possible because Kate and I are pretty excited to get into this stuff over the next few weeks. But I hope that you are intrigued, if nothing else, that you are, that you look forward to considering faith with us. Because there's a lot of, as I like to say, there's a lot of pit stops in the road between maybe who you used to be way back in a certain particular religious day and someone who is just completely sworn off everything. And of course, even that's a beautiful place too, but there's a lot of different pit stops, and it all belongs. It all belongs. You belong. Somehow it all belongs. There's another callback to another Sojo original. Do you like how I call them Sojo originals? Like, it just sort of grab it for our brand. Like, all right, shall we do our benediction? Someone want to lead us this morning?
Fable, you want it? Do you remember the first thing to say? I'm going to give her my mic.
Be brave.
Because you are a child of God.
Be kind.
Because so is everyone else. Love y'all. Have a good week.